what she means. But it was from that moment on, every time that she knew that they were to be in the same place, she would look for that stoic Russian face. And she would find him somewhere off in the fringes of the party, somewhere on the side of the dance floor, and she was always wearing that grin. He was, and she'll never forget it. And she knew she would find him there in the fringes because that's where she too would wander. Always a part of the party, but just enough removed from it so as not to be seen. And this is where their paths crossed for years, and it's where they fell in love over and over and over. And Lori said to me, she said, there was never actually a flirtatious vibe between us. We were just two silent Scorpios. And this tickled me a little bit because in their own way, they were absolutely flirting with each other. And honestly, when have Scorpios ever been silent? So a few years passed by, with Lori and Eric frequently running into one another at parties and regional burn events. Eric would see Lori and he'd say hi, and then he'd run away because he knew he really liked Lori, and he didn't want to get caught having a secret crush on her, and he was convinced that Lori couldn't like him that way, and he needed plausible deniability anyway. And these are his words, you can hear him saying this. And then finally, one day, it took Lori's sister, Tracy, to send Eric a message, and the note read, "You know my sister likes you, right?" So Eric sent a text to Lori, and he invited her to this next afterburn party. And to Eric's surprise, she responded and said yes to the invitation. So, by his own admission, he had to get a couple of gin and tonics in him, and he eventually kissed Lori for the first time. And this was so out of character, however, that Lori wasn't sure if it was that kind of kiss, so they held hands. They parted ways that night, not sure of what happened, and they didn't talk until they saw each other again on a camping trip a week later. And they met, and you have to picture this, and he says to her, "I'm really sorry about kissing you last weekend." And Lori said, "Well, I'm not sorry, and I want to tell you a secret. I like you." And Eric said, "Well, I'm not really sorry that I kissed you." Yeah. So that was it. Yeah. So finally they were dating, and they're teenagers who had just given each other permission to fall in love with each other. But they dated in secret for a good long while until finally Kaylee said to them, "You know everyone else knows, and we've known from the beginning. You can quit hiding on the fringes of those dance floors." So I asked Lori if she remembered a specific moment when she knew that she had fallen for Eric. And she told me that it was more of a series of moments, and that those moments were in the conversations that they were having. And she said that it was something in those talks, the ones that covered every topic from homebrew to music, computer programs, gardening, cooking. And she said that she always somehow felt like it was talking to a fantasy, and that she had made it up, and she was worried that he wasn't real, and that she would get bored, and she never got bored, and she could sit and listen and stare and love, and she said, "I can't believe he's mine, and that our conversations don't ever have to end." It was in these conversations he realized he and Lori viewed the world through the same eyes. And he said these talks are unlike anything he's ever experienced. These conversations, we all know them. And many of us in the same way that love does. And I describe it as like a giant metal safe, with those heavy silver combination locks in the center, and they're heavy, and they ride like ice on your fingers. From the weight, you can just feel it. And it's just that one subtle, last, precise click. It's just that smallest movement. It's just enough, though, to change your entire perspective. And I see you guys moving through this safe combination and going through the ritual and discovering the combination until that last subtle pulse, and then the door of the safe opens and fresh air rushes in. It's awesome. And when I put this ceremony together, I always ask the bride and groom to tell me why they want to marry one another. And the brides, of course, always brighten up, and they share the story from a unique perspective that only a woman in love can do. The men are sometimes a little more stubborn, and it's not common for me to get a sentence or two. But I wish you could have heard Eric when I asked him to tell me about his love for Lori. And I wish this because when you hear a man this in love quantify his feelings, It restores your hope for love and life. It's amazing. Lori Eric told me that he has to remind himself every day to not take your beauty and your spirit for granted. He said it's just so easy and so natural to be around you that it's almost easy to forget that you are just simply that wonderful. He told me that meeting Lori messed with his philosophical and somewhat pragmatic view of the universe. He said he had to rethink everything because it seemed now that they were actually meant to be together. He said, for a long while I thought it was too good to be true and I was waiting for the other shoe to drop and there's just no other shoe. No giving up. His words, no compromises. Love exactly as it is. And Lori, do you warmly and genuinely accept and embrace these two individuals, promising to guide them, support them, welcome them as a married couple? If so, please shout out your blessing with a hearty "We do." This is a hand-binding cloth. Eric's grandparents, Severian and Olga Karpov, they used this hand-fasting cloth in their wedding ceremony in the 1920s. They married in Russia before immigrating to the United States. Olga most likely sewed the cloth herself. You think about what that was like. The Karpovs didn't bring much with them, so the historical significance of this piece is great. And today, the significance is reborn. So I ask you to hold your right hand and your left hand. Through history, love has kept you, and so you are bound. And by the very act of this ceremony, and you being present in it, you are bound. And by the promises that you make today to guide one another into the future, you are bound. Lori and Eric, we are here to remember and to rejoice and to recount with one another that it's love that guides us on our paths, and to celebrate as you begin this journey together. So it's in this spirit that you have come here today to exchange your vows. Who wants to go first? Eric.
Lori, I never thought that I was made perfectly for someone, and that someone perfectly made for me. Your love has made this really impossible, and I want you to keep me forever. I promise to stay silly and fun, and to remember that you love me and are on my side. I'll always be on you. I promise I will never lose the rush of excitement I get when you take my hand. I will always reserve some of my own strength for when you need it the most. I will always be your best friend, your biggest advocate, cheerleader, confidant, and coaching spirit, and your other Stindy. And to the honor of both deserving and protecting your heart, I'm promising you that your last beat of mine
Baby, we made it. It's been a long and bumpy and crazy road to finding each other, to finding the love of my life. It's hard to even remember what my life was like before we were in it. It's impossible to describe to you how much joy and peace you've brought to my soul. You'll never know. I'm not even the same person. I no longer feel like a lone wolf. I no longer stand quietly in the corner of a room feeling jaded about relationships and marriage and for love. I stand here today a completely different person because of the amazing person you are. I feel so loved and supported and cared for by you. I want you to feel that way too for the rest of our lives. 2 hearts, 2 souls, 2 stupids. Out living in this crazy world together. I can't think of anything that would make me happy. Rings.
The rings. Rings of precious metal. These are platinum and silver. And we place these on our true love's left hand because it constitutes a direct path to their heart. They're symbols of the sun, the earth, and of the universe, the entire universe. They're symbols of wholeness, perfection, peace, eternity, and love. May these rings be a symbol of the promises that you have made to one another and a reminder of your mutual devotion. May these rings always belong to your hands, and your love always belong in each other's hearts. All right, finger and repeat after me. Lori, I give you this ring as a symbol of my heart. Wear it and think of me and know that I love you. With this ring, I marry you. And join my life to yours. Repeat. Eric, I give you this ring as a symbol of my heart. Wear it and think of me and know that I love you.
Wear it and think of me and know that I love you.
With this ring, I marry you.
With this ring, I marry you.
And join my life to yours.
I'll join my life to yours.
Eric and Lori, although I am officiating here today, it is not truly in my power to sanctify, legitimize, or bless your relationship in any way because you've already done that in your hearts. So by joining hands right now, looking into each other's eyes, let it be known that you are united, body and soul, in this lifetime, and that this bond is sacred and eternal. Now that you have stood before me and you've exchanged these rings and these vows, and you've agreed to be married according to the laws of California, it gives me great pleasure to pronounce you husband and wife. Eric and Lori, stand by.